And we are now recording. We were just saying we've just had a really good chat and we should have been recording it, but it's fine because we're going to carry on. So, welcome. Today is the founder of Impossible Performance, and he also has another school called the Orion Collective. Matthew does podcasts and all kinds of things, and his theory is to be impossible, and it's investing in ourselves, believing in ourselves, and I will let him tell you further. But do you want to take over and tell us a little bit about being impossible, Matthew,
Yeah,
please?
absolutely. I guess the best way to chat about it, to explain it is through a story, which is what we talk about all the time in that community. It's really I when I was 18 years old, I was diagnosed with a rare form of pediatric cancer, and it was in my leg, and it was bone cancer, and so I lost my leg. It was amputated on the right side below the knee because of that cancer, and went through a lot of pretty toxic, pretty intense chemotherapy, and that ultimately led to me. I was in a pretty dark spot at first. I was very numb. I wouldn't even say I was like angry or depressed or fearful. I was just incredibly numb. I didn't know how to feel, how to think, how to react. This all just felt completely impossible. Like there's no way that this could happen.
Mm,
And I was searching and searching and searching for a way out of this. And along the way, the idea came to me of, well, if this is going to be an impossible challenge, if this is going to be something that shouldn't be happening, I shouldn't be able to overcome, that it shouldn't doesn't even make sense, I'm going to have to build an impossible version of myself in order to do so. And that's where the concept of be impossible was born. And what's really interesting about that is it took the power out of the cancer. It took the power out of that immensity of, oh, you've got to overcome cancer as an 18-year-old
mm,
who's never even considered that before. And it really just made the daily mission, the daily goal, you've got to build this person who can do this thing. And once you build that person, they will inevitably do that thing. Once I build the person who can overcome cancer, they will inevitably overcome cancer. Obviously, we can't control. I mean, we definitely have more influence than I think we would even allow ourselves to believe. But in every situation, you're not necessarily going to have full and total control over um, your cancer prognosis, you know. But if you build that person who can overcome it, overcoming it doesn't necessarily mean ending up cancer free. It means not
mm.
letting it control your life, and that's why we talk
Yeah.
about cancer survivors are more than somebody who's cancer free. Cancer survivors are people who survive cancer, who wake up, make the conscious choice to fight it every single day, and build a better life for themselves and for others in spite of it and because of it. And so that's really what it means to overcome cancer, and you can build a person who can do that no matter what your situation is with cancer. So that
Mm,
became my goal every day through what we now call the four domains of performance: mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. And those just became my core focus. How can I gain as much strength in these four areas as possible? And it gave me such a high and powerful level of purpose. It became something I became deeply passionate for, and it drove me to an incredibly positive place in my life, a place where I was serving a purpose I felt worthy. I was becoming a person I admired, and I was actually able to start giving that person to others who saw that journey along the way. It was the most key, critical, transformative part of my life. And unfortunately, after that, I live with all this purpose, this power, I'm on this mission, and I very nearly lost my life. I had a very near brush with death, and actually had to be revived on the ER table at one point. And then
mm,
I'm going to turn these notifications off. But then after that, I come out of all of that. To kind of make a long story short, I come out of all of that, and I go back to what we call normal life. I go
mm.
back.
What
I
is
have
normal?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like I have the little tiny physical recovery period. I go back, get a job, go back to school with all these kids who just had the best summer of their lives, and I can't possibly relate.
Mm,
And I found myself totally lost. And that's when I
Yeah.
really slipped into my darkness and when I got involved in addiction because I lost that purpose, right? Like you're never going to have more purpose than waking up and fighting for your life and building other people up along the way every single day. You're just not going to find more purpose than that. And when I lost that, I had no idea how to move forward. I couldn't find it in a job. I couldn't find it in school. I couldn't find it just in knowing the people around me. And so the goal became to escape because everybody else in my life was so happy because I was alive. And it made me feel like I should be happy. And I don't wanna on rag on any of them because I want them to be happy. Like, yes, I understand you should be happy that I'm alive. I was grateful to a point to be alive myself. I just didn't know what to do with it, and I felt like I should be happy, and so I felt like I was guilty for not being happy for the gift I'd been given. And
Mm.
really what I was just looking at it backwards, so it's like I was actually just chatting with another, woman in Evolve Now Social this morning about this. Our words dictate our beliefs, and then our beliefs, once built through our words, can start to reinforce that cycle, those words that come forth from those beliefs. And so what was happening is I was telling myself my words were, "Oh, you're not happy. You're not happy. You should be happy. You're
Mhm.
not happy." And so I'm sending myself this message of "you're not happy" every single day. That was the story I was writing for myself. So how do I
Yeah.
expect to be happy if that's the if that's the story I'm telling myself? I should have been looking at it from a perspective of I don't have this belief yet, but I can build it, and I'm going to go down the process of building that person, just as I did in cancer. And
Well,
long
sorry. Go
You need
on.
to get that something, that's no problem.
No, she's gone. He's gone. He's gone. He
Um,
wanted to play football.
oh, yeah. No, you're all good. You're all good. I'm all about playing football. Um,
We've already done it.
hey, there's never too much time for football. But, uh,
The grass
but
has
so
been cut.
so
It's greener.
yeah.
Go on.
But so I was in this cycle, and I couldn't even see my own way out. And eventually, I was able to make that turn. I was able to make that
Mhm.
shift. It was a long, slow, as you would say, kinda quiet process for me, and it
Right.
took about 3 years to really get back to this path that I was on when I was battling cancer, this idea and this belief in the fact that I can build this person who can do this thing. And at the
Mhm.
core, that is what my group is about. It's about building the person, not about not about even directly building the outcomes, if that makes sense. You
Yes.
build the person first, and that person will go on to build the outcomes. So I'm not invested necessarily in even helping, if somebody's got a business goal. I'm not even necessarily invested in helping them achieve that goal directly. I'm invested in helping them build the person who will achieve that goal. I think that's the greatest gift I could help give anybody, help lead anybody to, because that was the thing that changed my life. I had a good job. I was in school, but I wasn't happy. I had those outcomes that society dictated I should be looking for. And even if I had won the lottery and gotten $1,000,000 at that point in my life,
Mm.
I would have squandered it. It would have done nothing for me, and I would have been just as happy, probably even more unhappy because I would have felt like I should be even happier, and yet I wasn't. So it's really this idea of we have these dreams and these outcomes and these goals, and those are great. We should have those. But the reality is if we have not built the person first, really those goals, those outcomes essentially mean nothing because if we don't change ourselves, they're going to mean nothing to us, even if we do achieve them. And I'm more of the belief that we're likely not going to achieve them without building that person, that impossible version of ourselves. So that's really the core of what we focus on.
And that's beautiful. And that is the core of everything, really, isn't it? You've made me go back to my darker days. And it wasn't until I tried to move away and start afresh. It'll
Mhm.
be okay if nobody knows me, and things like that. I'll just get rid of those friends and these friends, change your playground, change your playmates, and that'll solve it. But I was taking me with me, and I still had that negative internal dialogue, like you were saying, anymore. That kind of stuff become your reality. Reality comes
Mhm.
from your thoughts, I guess, because it it's almost expected. You make it in a way, without obviously wanting it. You make it. Um, yeah, the normal people when you come out of something so extreme, I felt that because my daughter was 1.5, and this was for 8 weeks at Christmas. And I remember coming out of the hospital and nothing outside had changed. And I had just been through this amazing experience. There's a chap that I know, and he had a heart attack. And I just don't know what's in everything because he'd changed that internal dialogue.
Mhm.
The pillars that you mentioned, um, I've been into your classroom and I've looked at them, and I like how you say those 4 pillars: the emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Along those lines, they don't have to be focused on where one's low. It's yeah, I love that. And yeah, so lots in there. And that really described it really well. And you certainly, yeah, and that's what it's about. We've got to be well inside to then ripple that outwards to people around us, which is what you're doing in your school. You're rippling this belief, this feeling, this actual internal love for yourself out to other people so they get it and they do it again. And it's just all that ripple effect of just, but it's got to start inside. So do you think people in your community are there for information or because they have already hit that turning point that you mentioned? I call it the quiet turn, the rock, the hard place, the brick wall, we're going to turn away from it, enough is enough. So do you think they've already hit that turning point, or is it just for information, do you think? Tricky one.
It's interesting. I think there's a very wide-ranging group of people in our community along who are all at several different parts of this journey. There are people who, like Austin, and his partner Riss, they're, very, very far along this journey. They've hit that turning point. They've built that person, and they're living every day, as that person who's going to inevitably achieve those goals. And then we've got people who are brand new to it, who are in that hard place right now, who don't know
Mm,
even how to move forward. And those are really the people that I'm there to serve. I
yeah,
definitely want to help continue building and motivating and driving for the people who are already quite far along this journey. But honestly, a lot of those people are there simply to help the people who are at the early stages of this journey,
yeah,
who are in this space of how can I overcome this thing? How can I achieve this goal? And I think what I really love about our community is that we do focus on that person, becoming that person more so than even the outcome, because there's so much great resources, great tools on
mhm,
building the outcome. That is there's a lot of communities. There's a lot of great information, a lot of great resource available on the internet about that. I think where we struggle sometimes is in focusing on that individual, focusing on that person, and that's who we're really focused on because a, I think that's my personal area of expertise, but B, as you said, nothing changes without that. Like, and I think addiction's the perfect lens to look at that through.
mhm,
If we and there's a lot of people who preach online about just change your environment, change yourself. I think you mentioned that, like move to a different place, make new friends, and you'll change yourself. And I definitely I get where they're coming from there. But if you are heavily addicted, whether it's alcohol, heroin, whatever it is, if you are heavily addicted and you're still heavily addicted, but you move to a different city, you're still going to be heavily addicted. Like it's
mhm,
not just going to magically, like your addiction is just not magically going to go away just because you move to a different place. However, if you are struggling with addiction and you work on the addiction itself first, You work on building the person who can overcome that addiction, and you get free from addiction, or at least build a good system and standard and setup for it, for that path. Then you move to a different city, then it just reinforces it. Just like we said
Yeah.
earlier, you can't just change your beliefs magically and expect your words to follow suit. You have to change your words first. You have to change that message, and then change, which will work to change that person,
Mhm.
ultimately leading to change in those beliefs. And then you can really have an effect on the change of your environment. And you can change your own environment physically, like move to a different city. But I'm more focused on changing your environment in terms of the impact we have personally on the environment around us. And that doesn't require moving cities. It doesn't require moving houses. It doesn't require all of these things. Yes, you're going to lose people along the way, because when you become a different person, you're going to be surrounded by different people. It doesn't mean you're
Yes.
going to lose everybody. Doesn't mean that your whole landscape of social circles is going to change, but some of them are going to have to change if
Mhm.
this the person you truly want to be. And one thing I really try to focus on is I don't try to give people an agenda of this is who you should be. I try to focus more on who do you want to be.
Yeah. What's your best day gonna look like, or what would it
Exactly.
mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, and people come in here and they worry about not having skills. I think there's a lot of people that have lived a life of experience of trauma, of mental health, of addiction, of, surviving cancers and things. Or any heart attacks, anything. And they feel like they've not got the skills. We talk about skills, but life experience is a skill. This is you came from this and you had the idea because you've done it. You had the long road into that down feeling, and then there's a long road back out of it, and it slowly, slowly goes upwards. So if people are watching and they feel like they've not got any skills, your life experience is your skill, because we all go through the same kind of stuff, and we
Mm.
all get, we've all gone through different things. So those skills are helpful for someone else in school as well. There can be something built from anything in here, can't they? It's amazing. Um, so what would you say to people that are teetering on the edge of maybe starting a school, or thinking about doing the school, or just feeling that pull to join your community, or to be more active in connecting with you and things?
I wouldn't I wouldn't say something so much as I would ask a question. And that question would be, are you the person of your are you the version of yourself you most admire? If that answer is yes, then we're done here. You're crushing it. You keep doing what you're doing and keep living life to the fullest. And there are some people who can confidently, fully answer that question, yes. I don't even know that myself I can fully confidently answer that question,
Mm,
yes, at this moment. I'm working there. I'm getting closer. I'm I'm getting very close. Though I do believe that this is a kind of a cyclical pursuit, and that it's one of those infinite games Alex Hormozy talks about where,
yeah.
once we get to that level, because I'm definitely that person that I would have envisioned, back when I was in the throes of alcoholism. But now that I'm here, I'm like, man, I can be better. I can raise that bar
Yeah.
high. And I think
The
that's a
goal
worthy thing to
changes.
do. Yeah. But are you the person you most admire right now? And if you're not, that's okay. And in fact, you may be quite far from that person. But what it's all about is you can build that person, and
Yeah.
that is the core focus of our community, and that's what we are very specialized in, and specifically what we can help you with. First, we gain control of your narrative, of your story, those words you're telling yourself. Like, I was literally telling myself, "I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not happy." I was so focused on being happy that I couldn't even see how I was literally driving myself further and further away from that with my words. So we take control of that narrative first, because it's the easiest and most powerful initial step. Instead of saying I'm not happy, I should have been saying, and here's the key differentiator. I don't tell people to lie to themselves either. So if I had changed those
Mhm.
words to I am happy, I am happy, I am happy, yeah, it might have influenced me more in that direction of being a little happier. I certainly would have felt happier than the words I was telling myself, but I don't it would have been a lie. And I don't think
Yeah.
there's any power to a lie. So I'm
And then
very
comes
careful.
resentment.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm very careful with how we do this. I don't just change your words to, oh, instead of saying I'm unhappy, say I am happy. I don't think it's quite that simple. It's so what
Mhm.
we focus on is being honest with ourselves. Hey, I
Yeah,
am in a space right now where I am not happy and fulfilled, but
and
I am a
that's fine.
person who can yeah, exactly, that's okay. I'm a person who can become happy, who can become
Yes,
fulfilled. I am working every day to grow stronger mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, to become that person. This is the type of person I want to be, and this is how I'm working to get there today, right now. And this is gonna be my next action. And I think
because
that
everyone's
yeah, go ahead.
sorry. I was just gonna say, because 'cause everyone's got it inside them, haven't they?
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
know deep down they're good people. I knew deep down I was a good person even though I was hurting here, there, and everywhere.
Mhm.
I knew it wasn't me. I
Yeah.
knew I was, something more. There had to be
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good, and that's the thing. We all know that impossible version of ourselves is within us. We
Mm,
all know, we all are in touch with that person we can become. And so the purpose of my community is literally just to give you the keys, help you to make
open the
that
door.
unlock and open that door to that person. And then you're gonna have to go quite a journey to get there, to build that, and
Mhm.
then that's okay. But it's more about starting this story, those words I mentioned of how we actually teach people to think rather than just say, "I'm happy." Focus more on, "I am this person now, but I can become this person. This is what I'm doing." The key part about that is that's writing a story, and we become
Yeah,
most committed to the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, whether they're positive or negative. That is the ultimate commitment to identity that we all make. And so if we can rewrite that story, not even one step beyond even just changing the words, but really rewriting that story from start, from scratch, from the very first page, that story will become ultimately so much more reinforcing than just the words themselves even. And that's really
yeah.
what builds that impossible version of yourself. And when you start getting in a cycle of waking up every day and it's become default programming, you don't even have to tell yourself, I am this person right now. I am doing these things. It becomes automatic. You would
Mhm.
really instill that into who you are. So if you're somebody right now who's caught in this cycle of, man, I know there's more in me. I know I can be this person. I know I can do better. I know I want this outcome. I'd like to have
Mhm.
financial freedom. I'd like to have more time. I'd like to spend um, more time with my family. I'd like to be this, and this. I know that outcome I want. If you are that person right now, but you feel like, "I just keep getting caught in this cycle of I can't I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money. If I had these things, then I could
Mhm.
do it." If that's the story you're telling yourself right now, then my community is perfect for you because we are going to give you power over those limitations that you are telling yourself.
Mhm.
We actually have a saying within our community that limitations do not exist. And we tell ourselves that specifically because we believe that if we have the default mindset of choosing not to accept any limitations and rather finding ways to build ourselves up to be able to overcome those limitations or work around them, as you said,
Mhm.
everything we need is already right within ourselves. Because
Yeah.
once we tap into the power of that, we rewrite that story, we start moving forward in that pursuit. We will build the person who can get the time, who can get the money, who can get the habits of physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being, dialing in spiritually, dialing in emotionally. It's all of those things come downstream of really unlocking that person you can become.
Yeah, and they're not alone while they're doing it either, are they? In your community, my community, any community, this is why we have the communities because we've been there, done it, and that's kind of a real good enforcer of having that compassion, that empathy, that understanding of what people are going through, and that for me was a real help when there was someone else I knew that had gone through it rather than someone that had just read about it and kind of learned about it. I felt automatically connected.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I do have one more question,
Yeah.
and it might be hard for you to answer, but then this is the last question, and that is, where do you think you would be right now if you hadn't started?
Mm.
Honestly.
Man, that's a good question.
Mhm.
And the
This is to really
reason
drive
it's
it
yeah,
home.
the reason it's a good question is because
Yeah.
I feel quite a lot of fear when I start considering the question.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it powerful because it shows that it forces me to a place of growth. Anytime we feel fear, it's because there's massive risk of failure, but that means that diving into that, overcoming that failure, um,
It's a
overcoming that
huge
fear, sitting with it is a huge catalyst for growth. I would truthfully have to even ask the question if I would even be alive
yeah.
if I hadn't.
Yeah. That's
And
kind of
if
what I thought you would say to
Yeah,
this. Yeah,
yeah,
because I
I
get
don't
that.
know that I would be alive, and if I were alive, I would very likely be in a place of wishing that I weren't.
Yeah.
And that's
So this
heartbreaking for me to think about because I have so many good things in my life right now. But you know what that does is in considering that outcome, that potential, is it reinforces the idea and the belief of the person who I've been able to become. It reinforces the path that I'm building and moving forward
and the
and
whole message and the whole
reinforcing.
point of your community is
Yeah,
it's there, isn't it?
yeah,
That's the power.
yeah. And if I could go from where I was to where I am now, then there's no question that I can go from where I am now to where I'm going in the future. So I
Or that
appreciate
anyone
that.
else can do it. Yeah. That is yeah. You know, I hated hearing that, but if we can do it, you can too. You've just got to have that pull, haven't you? So yeah, sorry about that question, but I kind of knew you might go there,
No,
and
don't be
that
sorry
needs to
about it.
be
I
told
I love it.
sometimes because
Those are
I
the questions
understand
I
that.
love. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's real, isn't it? It's real.
it is. It
You are
is.
impossible. Keep being impossible. I, for one, am so glad I have met you.
Yeah,
Any links that have been mentioned, I think you mentioned Evolve. I will put Matthew's links in as well to this video, and go join his community. We're on half price this week, aren't we? So
yeah,
it's Matthew's got a really good deal on actually at the minute. I took advantage of this, and he's got his classroom on for $13 instead of the high cost of 297. So if you are interested in anything Matthew has said, or if you feel that pull, have a look in Impossible Performance and meet Matthew and Austin.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Anything you want to add? Or are you happy with that?
Honestly, the only thing I wanna add is you guys, if you're I don't know if you're whoever's watching, I don't know if you're in Don's community, if you're not in Don's community. If you're not, you should join Don's community. That's for number 1. And if you're in Don's community, you need to follow more of what Don's doing because there have been several times, I'm not kidding about this, where, like, I watch what you're doing on school and I'm like, "Man, I wanna be more like that." Like, the work you're doing right now, and I know it probably doesn't feel that way to you. I know it probably doesn't feel that way to you, but that's what we're seeing. That's the person you are. That's the person you're becoming. That's the person you're building. And I believe that because of the consistency of the work you're putting in right now. You're diving into individual groups, platforms, really going through the process of learning and educating and growing. And I don't see you ever posting these ideas of limitations of why is this not happening to me? Why is this not growing? Why is this not doing this? I'm sure those thoughts run through your mind all the time. It happens to all of us. We all have those questions, those doubts, but those are not a reflection of who you truly are. Who you truly are.
I'm a relentless little soul.
Yeah, and that's what I love.
Stubbornly relentless.
Yeah, you are committing fully, you're diving into the groups, you're learning, you're growing, and you're building authentic human connection and authentic community around what you're doing. And you're honestly one of my favorite people I'm following on school right now because I
Oh,
love
thanks.
to see the true passion that comes forth from what you're doing, and I can literally see that process of you building that person, from the moment I first spoke to you, when we connected on that podcast. I've already thought, I can't wait to do another podcast. I don't know whether it'll be 6 months or a year from now or whatever it'll
See
be,
the growth.
but to just see the difference between who you were in that first podcast versus
Yeah,
who you were and who you will be in the second, because you are
yeah,
just building immense growth right now, and that's
yeah, yeah.
so much fun to get to watch. So thank you.
Which is why I started the YouTube as well, because they see the awkwardness, they see the and all that kind of stuff, but that's what they see, the growth as well. So thank you,
Mhm.
that means a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I will stop recording there now, and yeah, everything will be posted. I will pop this straight in there. I am going to pop it on the YouTube as well.
Okay.
And thank you for coming. I really appreciate chatting with you.
Yeah.
And again, apologies for the mix up.
Oh, no, no, no worries at all. It worked out great. Thanks, Don. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Matthew.